Okay, let's try again. Welcome back. We're trying again. Okay. Can you see me?
I can see you.
Okay. What about comments?
I'm waiting on it to say you've entered as a guest, which I don't see anymore.
Lord of mercy. Facebook, you fired.
Facebook fires. If Facebook took away comments from the guest, then am I gonna have anybody from my is anybody from my Facebook friends gonna be able to see that I'm on live anymore?
Hmm.
That's my concern.
Hmm. I don't know why. I don't think they would. What's up, Trey? I don't know why that would happen. I think Trump shut us down.
You know what?
He shut us down. Like, y'all ain't
Like,
buying
I
any
don't know, or
silk.
unless it's a delayed reaction where by the time I'm done, maybe I'll start seeing. Maybe once a friend of mine comes on, it'll start coming through or flooding in. I don't know. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. Um, because like because I do want to wait until maybe a friend of mine comes on and starts
Okay.
commenting. Because if then that's the and because if a friend of mine comes on and comments, I should be able to see it because they're my
Hmm.
Facebook friend. Because
Hmm.
because it's weird to me now that the comments are gone. I can see
Hmm.
comments when I first enter into the live, but as soon as I connect with you, I don't have no way of seeing.
Uh-oh. I can't even hear him now, and that's weird. That's weird. So he froze, and then he got kicked off. Okay, hold on. Hey, Miss Ragland. Okay, so I'm trying to add him back now, but then it was saying no answer. We are having technical difficulties trying to get up and running. The devil is a liar. We're trying to liberate the people. Hmm. Okay, that was weird.
Okay, okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened, but now I can see comments now. You know what? I'm done.
What?
I can see comments now.
Hallelujah. We all
Lord Jesus.
now our signal is just all jacked up, but guess what? As long as they can hear us, we good.
Yes, and I can see the comments now.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
I don't know. So I see Raglan, I see Jim. Hey Jim. Um, I don't know if I may have tapped I may have tapped something. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
But we can move on.
Okay.
So
Right?
so we thank you all. Brandon and I seriously thank you for your patience with this. This was
Hmm.
like the fifth time that we've left and came back. So thank you for tuning in. It took us a good 20
I
minutes to get
know,
together.
right? What was happening?
Um, Jim says the signal's jacked, but we can hear. So, well, yeah, because you're not clear.
Mm-mm.
Brandon, is maybe you'll get clear as the time goes on.
Mm-hmm. I hope
Okay.
so.
Well, I'll go ahead and get started. So Brandon and I are going to be talking about the pursuit and the power of joy and happiness. I'm going to be, I guess, more elaborating on the happiness piece, and then Brandon's going to be covering the joy. But we're gonna, of course, both of us are going to talk about both, obviously,
Joy.
because joy and happiness go together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brandon and I had a good conversation today about the topic. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ahead and get started. I can see the comments now. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go ahead and
Hallelujah.
get started. So, so I'm going to be talking about the pursuit of happiness. And as I've always stated before, please give us your perspective, your feedback, your thoughts on what we talk about. All feedback is great feedback, because we're going to engage you in your comments. I'm going to read those comments as your moderator now that I can see the comments.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and get started. So there's a psychologist that I found when I was doing my topic on happiness, because I I did empathy last week. Oh, Brandy, you're clear now.
Thank
Okay, Jim, thank you. So, I talked about empathy last week. For those of you that watched the show last week, and that was a really, really good topic to discuss.
you. Mm-hmm.
Brandon and I gave some very good feedback
Mm-hmm.
and some very good thought process on empathy, and like individuals that, well, it's imperative that we have the compassion and empathy when it comes to dealing with individuals that we may know.
Mm-hmm.
Having empathy just gives you peace of mind, right? I feel that when it comes to providing empathy, a lot of people, there's people that I do know, unfortunately, that don't have it.
Okay.
They say, hey, and not to put anybody on blast, because I'm not going to say names, but I spoke about empathy a little bit with a couple of my EOAs that I work with. I'm not going to say the EOA's name. I'm just going to say the who what was discussed. I see Miss Danielle is on. Hey Danielle, girl. Vanessa. I hope I'm saying
Yeah,
Vanessa's
she,
German.
yeah, I think it's
Hey,
Vanessa.
hey,
Yep.
sorry, German. Hey,
Yeah.
girl. I
Yep.
remember her.
Yeah,
All
I remember her
right.
too. Yep.
Yes. Okay. But yeah. So, um, I'm gonna speak a little bit about empathy, and then I'll go to the happiness portion
Mm-hmm.
that I have my notes on.
Mm-hmm.
But I taught EO leaders course all last week to new EOLs, and I during one of the lunches that we had on Friday, which was the last day,
Mm-hmm.
it was all of us EOAs. Brandon and I are equal opportunity advisors, so on Fort Knox, there's a team of like 8 of us that are on Fort Knox, and we all get together and we conduct EO leaders course. So we were having lunch, and I spoke about how I naturally have empathy. This is not something that I really worked hard
Mm-hmm.
to have. And the majority of the other EOAs felt the same way. They're like, yes, I have empathy because I'm able to give back, or I'm able to, if I see a homeless person, if it's inclined in me, in my spirit, to give that person money without them even asking, I do it.
Mm.
And I spoke charity work that I do. I don't really publicly talk about this, but I do give money monthly to this business. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you all are familiar with HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a business that
Mm-hmm.
has all your food, and they keep it
Yep.
frozen. You can order it, and it makes your meal. So I've donated money to this business to less than fortunate people, and I've been doing it once a month. And another thing I
Mm-hmm.
do on the side as far as giving back is once a month, I go, and if I go to any restaurant, well, I'll say fast food in a sense, any fast food place, and I see Lamont is on. Hey, Lamont. Um, what I do is the person that's behind me, I pay for their meal. I do it once. Don't really
Mm,
talk about the things that I do as far as giving, but I do it. So once a month, I
mm-hmm,
give to a family. So if it's on my heart to give, if I'm in line, I so um so I spoke about that, and this one particular EOA made a statement and said, "Well, I don't have sympathy for nobody. If they're a grown man or a woman and they cannot make their own money, I am not giving my money to anybody if they're grown. Like they got their own money." Um,
mm-hmm,
and we respected what that individual said. We were just like, "That's you." But I emphasize that I just give because I love to give. I love the fact that whatever I'm doing for somebody in that moment can
mm-hmm,
bring some
mm-hmm.
joy and some happiness to them because I don't know their story. So their
Right.
argument was, well, I don't give my money away because a lot of people lie about their financial status, and a lot of people have this way of like being like the woe is me, but then they go and
Mm,
like abuse that money and spend it on new shoes and new bags and new things. So that's why
mm,
I don't give away money. So
mm-hmm,
my response back to that individual was like, well, for me, I'm giving from the heart. So whatever they decide to do with that money, that's on them. That's their responsibility. But
right.
if it was on my heart to give, I'm going to give to that individual,
Mm-hmm,
right? Because like, at the end of the day, I can have a clear conscience that I gave that money out of the depths of my heart,
yeah,
and I meant that with all my being.
right.
So my message was that let them do what they want. If they want to be irresponsible with the $50, $100, or however much I give them, that's on them.
Mm-hmm,
But I did my good deed,
mm-hmm,
and it makes me feel good that I did my good deed.
yeah.
And they disagreed with me. They didn't like what I said, but I said what I said. So that was that. So moving, and that was
Yeah,
really kind of my empathy story that I want to share. It doesn't have anything to do with my happiness topic, but I
yeah.
just wanted to share that because
Well,
empathy, that episode. Go ahead, Brandon.
well, I just want to share a couple things on empathy then, like just to add, because if you live in a city, anybody living in a city, you're probably going to pass people on the street. Like you're going to pass, like in Atlanta, you're going to pass people on the street. There's going to be people who are in need. Scripture talks about the poor will be with us always. Kind of like, since you talked about like how you give out of the kindness of your heart, I wanted to talk about that as well because we give, Shay and I give to family, friends, homeless, and basically I kind of just follow the leading of the Spirit on who I should give and who I shouldn't give to. There are times where you might be giving and enabling somebody, but there are times when you might be giving and you're actually meeting somebody's need. But in my own mind, looking at the person, can't really determine that. So, if it's on my heart to give to that person, I believe that that's a spiritual, like, caution, like, slow down, like, notice what's happening right now, help that person out. You know what I mean?
I want to add right, and I want to add a little bit to that.
Hmm.
So I see my friend Rosie's on. Hey, Rosie. And then Jim says it doesn't matter what they do with the money. We are not asked to give for us to set limits.
Hmm.
Thank you, Jim.
Hmm.
But that's a boop right there, right?
Amen.
So, oh, and I see uh, Montgomery said, "Bless you, Bishop Allen. Know that we love you
Bishop,
much."
oh Lord of mercy.
Uh, okay,
Thank you.
Bishop. He didn't elevated you, honey, right?
Right? Okay.
So yeah, so so yeah, so what I want to add to that is it's on my heart to give, right? So kind of
Hmm.
reaffirming or caveating from you.
Hmm.
Let's say I am giving to a person that's going to abuse the money. Let's say that I
Hmm.
do that. I'm
Hmm.
not going to know that
Hmm.
because I'm not in their life.
Right.
But let's say that that's a lesson that God is going to teach them. That later on down the road, this person gave to you, but you abused
Hmm.
it, and then they're put in a situation that's even worse than what they're in. So there's lessons in giving and receiving with everybody. So
Hmm.
my with me, I I listen, I'm giving because out of the kindness of my heart. So I want to read what Trey says. Well, I can see her point, and I somewhat agree. But 23 Psalms speaks about my cup runneth over. So if it's my overflow, I'm okay giving. It's an investment. So on a return, reap. Yes, that's a very good. I'm glad you said that. Um,
Hmm.
and I mean, like I said, I respect everybody's thought process when it comes to giving. I'm just giving based upon what's on my heart.
Yeah.
But you know, there were a lot of people in that room though that
Hmm.
their perception of her was, "Oh, you're selfish."
Mm.
So that's another aspect that I think that she really didn't care who she didn't care what everybody else thought. I'm not giving because people abuse it, and that's her
Yeah.
prerogative. That's her coins.
Hmm.
You know, at the end of the day.
Hmm.
So Jim says Brandon got two elevations today, moderator and bishop. Right. Brandon was gonna have to fill in and be moderator, honey, if I was gonna see these comments. Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, Montgomery says both of you are being elevated. Your spirits are real. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So let's move on to happiness. So let's move on to that. So I talked about empathy till I'm blue in the face. Let's move on to the happiness topic. So a psychologist by the name of Elizabeth Dunn. She's a social psychologist at the University of British Columbia, and she wrote a book. If you all want to look up this book, it's called Happy Money: The
Mm.
Science of Happier Spending. That's the name of the book. And she started to talk about her trip to the Arctic Ocean, and she had a terrible experience and wanted to escape. So I'll
Mm.
give you the details of this story that she gave. So this trip was supposed to include her and her boyfriend. This is back when she was in high school, so this is many years ago.
Okay.
So this trip was supposed to be her and her boyfriend, along with three high school buddies and their girlfriends. So basically, four couples going on a trip.
Mm.
But what she noticed is one by one, the other girlfriends decided, listen, this RV trip to go swimming is a trip that was not an idea of their own. They was not for it
Mm.
because they were like, it's too cold, Arctic Ocean,
Right.
mind you, right?
Okay.
So, but what happened was Elizabeth decided, you know what? I'll still go. So she decided to go with her boyfriend, but the other three guys didn't have their girlfriends to go with them. So
Mm.
just imagine she's the only female with all these men on an RV. So they rented an RV and they went to the Arctic Ocean, right?
Hmm.
So these men thought we gonna have a good time. I know you ain't got your girls with you, but we gonna make the best of it. So these men were just trying to make Elizabeth feel good about this trip. Like, I know you ain't got the girls with you,
Hmm.
but we gonna make it work, right?
Okay.
But unfortunately, during this trip though, she had a smartphone that did not work because she was far north, so her reception was terrible. The
Mm.
RV experienced a bad leak, so they had to pull over to the side of the road. She was over it.
Mm.
So imagine not having your girls with you. Then you realize your smartphone ain't working. Then you realize that your RV is has a leak and you got to pull over and fix the leak. She's like, "Listen, I'm over this. Like,
Mm.
this is the most terrible experience to go see this Arctic Ocean because all of her friends, all the male friends were like, "Hey, not a lot of people go to the Arctic Ocean because it's
Right.
too cold over there. Like, no one really goes, and it's especially to go swimming."
Hmm.
But they wanted to go against the grain and be like, we can go to this Arctic Ocean, okay? We're gonna go. So so the guys on the trip tried to make her happy, right? So she was miserable. Like I said, smartphone wasn't working, leak in the RV. But they were like, you know what? We're gonna pick up some of these women's magazines and we're gonna discuss women topics.
Hmm.
Even though they're men, they were like, we're gonna make her feel comfortable and we're gonna pick up a woman's magazine and we're gonna talk about the articles
Mm.
that are in the magazine,
Okay.
and trying to make her feel as comfortable as possible, right? So at the end, of the trip, when they got to the Arctic Ocean, she felt bad for the men. So when they got there, she was like, you know what? I wasn't gonna go on a swim, but I'm gonna just go ahead and go on this swim. Even though she wasn't motivated to go, she was like, I'll go on the swim. Well, what she realized was is when she went on the swim, she was able to see belugas. I don't know if you all know what belugas are. I'm not really sure what belugas are, but if you know what a beluga is, please
I think
let
it's
me know.
think
Let
it's a
us
type of
know
bear.
what
Is it a bear? I think it's
a
a type of
bear.
bear.
If anybody knows what a beluga is, please tell me, because she didn't describe what a beluga was, but she went in the Arctic Ocean, went swimming, and saw belugas in the wild. And she thought it was cool. She thought it was an amazing experience, right?
Mm,
So as she thought back on the trip, now this is months after the trip, she realized that she was bonding with the men, and she ended up marrying her boyfriend. So the boyfriend that she had back then, she ended up marrying him.
mm,
Um, and she noticed that that if she's ever going through a rough time in her marriage or anything work related, her and her husband will pull up those pictures from the trip and talk about everything, right? So during her study, she said Raglan said it's a dolphin shaped whale.
mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Thank you for
And,
that, because I had no idea.
hmm
Anthony said it's a whale.
and Jim
Okay.
said it's a whale
I
as
I
well.
didn't
Thank y'all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because I was like, what is a beluga? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what is that? So during her happiness research, she discovered that the value of buying experiences suggests that a lot of benefit that we get from that comes after they are over. So, in her mind,
Mm-hmm.
during the time that she was there, during the time that she was heading toward the Arctic Ocean on the RV, she thought this was the worst experience in her life. But she discovered that there's value in buying those experiences because there was
Mm-hmm.
benefit from that. She realized the benefits and the positive aspects of the trip well after it was over. So I'm getting somewhere, y'all, because
Okay.
I'm going to tie it into what we're going through currently, right? So one great thing
Mm-hmm.
about experiential purchases is that you can reminisce about them. So she also stated that many experiences are enjoyable in the moment, but that is not necessarily where the real experiential purchases come from. Our memories having this amazing property of being able to make things more positive or at least funnier over time because of being able to retell the story many times. So a
Mm.
lot of people feel that when you're going through an experience, that is the time when you're most enjoying them. But
Okay.
what she's saying is that no, it happens well after.
Mm.
So in the moment, you're seeing things from one viewpoint. You're seeing it in the moment, you're having your good time or you're having your bad time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you really can't capitalize on that enjoyment, the experiential purchase of that situation until well after it's over. I
Mm-hmm.
see Mr. Leeds is on, and I see Kenneth is on. Hey, Kenneth.
Hey.
Um, so so I want to talk about in the wake of COVID-19, you all, and during this pandemic, there are many things that we enjoy during the moment, such as baseball games, basketball games, concerts,
Mm.
traveling overseas, running to the mall, because I'm all about buying some new clothes, running to the mall, which are not really much of an option now, right? So like right now, you can't just go to a football game, you can't just go to a baseball game, you
Okay.
can't go to that, but it gives us all nostalgia, right? So like we can think back on the times that we were able to go. Like Tamar Braxton's one of my favorite singers, and I saw her live, and I got my life.
Mm.
So during that time, I enjoyed being there and hearing Tamar Braxton sing. But now that during this pandemic, I'm able to reflect on that experience and say, wow, like I'm I was upset that I was squished up in a seat because I started thinking back on the negative experiences I had where I'm in there, all this noise was happening, and I saw popcorn flying and all this
Mm.
stuff, and I saw all these like distractors, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not capitalizing on that part
Mm.
because during the moment I'm thinking about all the oh my god, like these people are loud or this person's got their phone out. Could you put your phone up during a concert? Put your phone away or
Mm.
if you like all these different things that were happening, but now that there's a nostalgia with a concert, now I'm like, man, I remember how Tamar just held that note for a good 15 to 20 seconds.
Mm.
I'm thinking about the time that Tamar sashayed away when she was done performing. I'm thinking about all the different things that were good about the performance because I have a
Right.
nostalgia about it, being
Mm-hmm.
that we're in a pandemic. There's no concerts going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Elizabeth conducted a study of a 3-week bike trip that individuals took across California, right?
Okay.
And the study showed that 61% of the trip was worse than they expected. 61% said that it was worse than they expected. But over, so I gave you what they felt during the trip. But only
Mm-hmm.
11% of the students said that the trip was disappointing.
Mm.
So thinking about how our minds work when it comes to pursuing happiness, pursuing the things that give us joy, we can take that stuff for granted, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it, and I'm gonna dig deeper in a moment. So what that tells us is that memories are great at making the best of things. So keep that in mind, you all. Any memory,
Mm-hmm.
any positive, any memory that you have with anything going on in your life, capitalize on the happy parts, the good, the joyous parts of that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you why I say that in a moment. So after Elizabeth released on happiness, she was confronted by one of her grad students. And his name is Aaron Weedman. And he said that he felt that the first chapter of her book, the book that I mentioned to you all, was
Mm-hmm.
all wrong, and felt that buying experience recommendations is bogus. Like, I don't believe in experiences happening in mental, I don't believe in that. So she decided to team up with him to conduct a separate study
Mm-hmm.
on comparing material purchases, the stuff that we can touch,
Okay.
with experiential purchases.
Mm.
So, because she wanted to weigh the difference with me buying you a jacket, Brandon, me buying something for you, but then your experience with the jacket. So
Mm.
basically, she wanted to compare what your initial reaction to the jacket is, and then how your experience is with the jacket. Which one is
Okay.
better? Which one
Yep.
is a bigger impact?
Mm-hmm.
So the study consisted of asking individuals about the material thing or an experience they had on Christmas, right? So the grad student discovered that people did actually get more frequent happiness from material things. So the
Mm.
material things had an unsung benefit. So like if I give you a jacket, let's say it's a jacket that you wanted, right? It was something that you
Mm-hmm.
wanted, and I got you that jacket. You're like, oh yes, come on, jacket. This is what I've been wanting. Boom, 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 right?
Yeah.
So all in all, the study concluded that experiences with Christmas gifts, they gave a bigger peak in happiness. And so it's a much more intense burst of happiness. But the material thing, the actual gift itself, gave people a lower dose, but was more frequent feeling of happiness due to the fact that they were able
Mm-hmm.
to see the material item. So I want to compare the
Okay.
two. I see Loop is watching. Hey Loop. So when you go through an experience of something that makes you happy, it carries more weight. But when you're thinking about the material thing, you're happy
Mm.
about it. You're happy about it, but it's something that you see all the time. So like the more you see that jacket, it's
Mm-hmm.
there in your face. So your happiness starts to decrease about the jacket compared to the first moment that you received it. I'm going
Mm.
somewhere, y'all. I'm going somewhere. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. So what she gathered from that analysis is that no matter how awesome our lives might be, or what wonderful things come into our lives, we tend to get used to them over time. So me
Mm.
getting you that jacket, Brandon, that's a
Mm.
material thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have that material thing. Let's say you've been wanting this jacket for all this time. I finally buy it for you. Your happiness for that jacket starts to decrease because,
Mm.
well, you have it. It's something that you used to.
Mm-hmm.
You're used to that. I see Montgomery saying, "Come on." You're used to
Preach.
having that jacket.
Yeah.
So your happiness for that jacket starts to just decline because you're like, well, shoot, I see it. It's hanging up in the closet or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. I mean, it's cute or whatever.
Mm.
But the experience that you have with that jacket carries more weight.
Mm-hmm.
So she mentioned a term called. Have you all heard of hedonic treadmill? Do you all know what a hedonic treadmill is?
Mm. I don't.
No? Okay, I'm gonna give you the definition of a hedonic treadmill. Hedonic is spelled Hedonic.
Mm-hmm.
Hedonic treadmill. And a hedonic treadmill is where there is an observed tendency of humans to quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative events or life changes.
Mm.
So it's like you're staying stagnant, right?
Mm.
So she stated that it gives the idea that we are sort of stuck. So with that, it's the idea that you are running, but it's still. So you're running on a treadmill, right? So you're running, but you ain't going nowhere.
Mm.
You're running, but you're still in the same spot.
Okay.
So you're staying in the place even though you are running. So though you are physically running, you're not going anywhere. You're on a treadmill.
Mm.
So in other words, it's not changing how happy you are feeling, even though you are doing things that should make you happier.
Okay.
So being that you're in the moment doing those things that you do to make you happy, you're seeing it repeated. It's in your face all the time. You're constantly going and going. So your level of happiness about that thing starts to decline because you see yourself moving. You think you should just continue to elevate in your happiness, but it starts to diminish gradually because you're doing the same thing. You're seeing the same thing every day. You're seeing the same materialistic jacket that I bought you,
Mm.
but there's no growth. There's no elevation of happiness happening.
Mm.
So the pursuit of happiness is in the experiences well after. So I'm going somewhere though. I'm gonna keep going. So remember the marketing trick that McDonald's did concerning the McRib sandwich? Now,
Mm.
for those of you that go to McDonald's, I don't go to McDonald's. I don't really eat their
Right.
lunch. I eat more of their breakfast. But there has been this McRib sandwich that McDonald's has been. They release it and then they take it away. So like they
Mm-hmm.
release it for like 4 to 6 months, and then all of a sudden you go back to McDonald's and it
And
ain't even
they'll
on the
have
menu
it.
no more.
Yeah.
So this sandwich is only available for a limited amount of time. And they did it they've done this like 2 or 3 times throughout the time I've known about the McRib.
Mm.
And they may have done it more. But at the height of its popularity, so at the height of the McRib being like, oh my God, the McRib is back. I see my friend Jennifer's on. Hey Jennifer.
Hey
I see the
Jennifer.
McRib is like, oh my gosh, like, oh, I see my girl Shakira's on. Hey girl. So the McRib sandwich, it's like, oh my God. So McDonald's is like, you know what? As soon as the McRib gets like popping and everybody's buying it, they pull
Mm-hmm.
it off the menu.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems counterintuitive, right? Like you're like, so how in the world? So how McDonald's gonna put the McRib on the menu and it's doing real good in sales, but y'all take it off the menu?
Mm-hmm.
So what people do not realize is that they are purposely making it more desirable.
Mm.
McDonald's is making that McRib more desirable. I
Mm-hmm.
see Damien and Nikki Beard is on. Hey, Montgomery says it seems like they let you down when you're excited about it. Yes, yes, but I'm tying that to something. So Elizabeth stated that although the COVID-19 pandemic is awful and it's terrible for all of us in many different ways, like I said, it's terrible in many, many, many different ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
It might provide us with a little bit of happiness reset. Think about the things that you were happy about
Mm-hmm.
prior to the pandemic that you were happy about, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then all that gets taken away from you, right? All that stuff that you used to do where you go to concerts, go to clubs and twerk. I mean, not saying that I twerk, I don't be twerking. I used to. But when you go into these baseball games, these basketball games, and all that, you're happy, you're in the moment, you good. But this pandemic might be showing us that we need a happiness reset.
Mm.
Have y'all thought about that? Have y'all thought about the things that we can easily grab, the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis that we are just like grabbing onto because it's accessible. It's
Mm-hmm.
accessible to us, right? We
Mm-hmm.
just grab it because we like, oh shoot, I'm finna go to the mall because I saw online that at Banana Republic, that's one of
Mm-hmm.
my stores. Banana Republic got this outfit that I want to buy.
Okay.
But guess what? I can't physically go to Banana Republic now. The
Mm-hmm.
whole feeling of being in a mall, I love to shop. I I cannot stand online shopping
Mm-hmm.
with a I can't. I see Loop said they burger block you. Yes, they burger block. Right. The McRib burger blocked me. Yes. But so I feel that all of us need to be on a happiness reset. Our happiness needs to be reset.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that were accessible to us We need to kind of think about those experiences and have a nostalgia to what we're missing. So when it does come back, because I'm gonna tell you, this pandemic is not forever.
Mm,
It's not forever. But whenever it ends, this pandemic ends, it's going to allow us to reflect on the things that we were missing and be much more appreciative of it when it
mm-hmm,
comes back, right? So, and it's important to pay attention to our own experiences, right? And know that there have been simple things that have been taken for granted. All the simple things that we used to do on a day-to-day basis that we didn't like appreciate or they we were happy about, we all took it for granted. All the little things that we used to do, we've taken it for granted pre-pandemic, right? But we can be much more appreciative of the now due to the fact that all those things have been taken away.
mm,
So the happiness reset has that's the pursuit of happiness, you all. The pursuit of happiness is knowing where you were and reflecting on that and appreciating it and not taking anything that we had pre-pandemic for granted once we get those things back.
mm,
And I encourage you all, and I'm speaking to myself, so I'm not only talking to you all,
mm,
I'm speaking to myself as well. We have to ensure that we know that the things that we were able to enjoy back then, we need to appreciate them more at post-pandemic.
mm-hmm,
So having limited access to things that we enjoy is really renewing our tendency to appreciate them.
mm-hmm,
That's the key in all this, right? Having limited access to things, I'll say it again, that we enjoy is really renewing our tendency to appreciate them in the future.
mm.
Keep that in mind, you all. It's very important. And I'll close on this. This is my last statement. All in all, taking time to savor the experiences, right, that we have in the past and whatever experiences are currently available is one way to maximize happiness during a difficult time in this pandemic.
Mm.
That is how you develop your pursuit of happiness.
I can dig it.
So that's all I have, you
Mm-hmm.
all. I mean, as far as happiness. So what is your feedback on that? What is your thoughts on that, Brandon, and everyone else?
Yeah. Well, like I kind of think of happiness and joy. Like I made it much more simpler for my own mind. And I feel like happiness is a choice. And after you choose to be, after a person, well, I'm gonna speak about me. After I choose to be happy, then I can like go over all the reasons that I should be happy, which then leads me to gratefulness, which keeps me in a space of having joy. You know what I'm saying? Because I think when I think of pursuit of happiness, I just saw somebody and like the hedonic treadmill that I saw somebody pursuing something but never really achieving happiness because there's a lot like the serenity prayer, right? God grant me this the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change and the strength to change the things of which I can. I feel like for me, it's kind of like whatever I can't change, I can't do nothing about that. Life is going to happen. So if I choose to be happy, you know, and so I like that's probably like a much more condensed. I know everyone doesn't think like me, but that's kind of what I've like come up with because I love feeling happy. So I came up with this
Okay.
because I'm like, okay, how can I well, if I choose, this is one thing I learned about my emotions. If me personally, the way I'm set up, because I'm an emotional person, I'm an empath, I'm a prophet, I'm a minister. Like I take on the feelings of other people, and when they're hurting, I'm hurting. When they are having joy, I'm having joy, and it's really a spiritual context. But I had to figure out, okay, like how can I affect this with my own mind? And I feel like it was just choosing if I choose to be happy from that choice point, because I feel the same way about love. I feel like love is a choice. I'm married over 5 years now. You know what I'm saying? And like you might not always feel like you're in love, but love is a choice.
Mm.
And you keep choosing to love that person through that's what the covenant is about, you know? That's what I believe marriage is really about. Choosing regardless of how you feel. Because you might not always feel happy, but just because you don't feel happy, does that mean you're not happy? Think about it like, okay, to make it even more simple, sometimes when people are happy, they cry. but oftentimes people associate tears with sadness. So, sometimes people are so overcome with emotion, that so that's kind of how I worked out the pursuit of happiness for me. It's not a pursuit anymore. Now I say this, I'm 38 years old now. I say this now. Maybe I learned it within the last 10 years ish. When you're 25, you start to see life different. When you're 30, you see life different. When you're 35, you start to see life different. And so at these different gates, it was just like, you know what? Reflecting on what I want the rest of my life to be like. If I learn how to do this, if I learn how to be in control of my emotions instead of my emotions control me, then I can be a better human, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's powerful. You gave a very, very amazing example. I think with what I researched when it came to the pursuit of happiness or looking for happiness,
Mm-hmm.
I feel that a lot of people have felt like they've lost their way with how
Yes.
to be to
Mm-hmm.
pursue their happiness because this pandemic has affected every single person. So it does not matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter if you are making millions and billions.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is experiencing their version of like craziness when it comes to this pandemic. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the message that I wanted to give out based on what I've researched
Mm-hmm.
is that it, it, it's okay to it's kind of like resiliency where you
Mm-hmm.
are in your feelings about an experience you're going through but
Mm-hmm.
pushing through it, right? That's what
Mm-hmm.
resiliency is, sitting in your pain or sitting in emotions but you're still pushing forward through to say, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm going to get past this and I'm going to overcome this.
Yep.
And but I feel that with this study with the psychologist, she was basically emphasizing, think back to where you were
Mm-hmm.
in the past, pre-pandemic, look at all those things and reflect on those
Mm-hmm.
so you can even reflect more on a positive aspect post-pandemic and you can reflect back and be like, ooh, well, during that pandemic, honey, I
Mm-hmm.
still made the best of it. I made the best
Yep.
of the pandemic. During the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, I did this, even though I couldn't go to a concert, even though I couldn't go to a game, even though I couldn't, I still went and I did X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what we're doing now, Brandon, I'm going to capitalize on us doing this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Us doing this show where we're talking to everyone about different topics, things to help us spiritually grow, uplift and edify, of course. But all these different things,
Yeah.
we did this during the pandemic, though, boo boo.
Right.
We did this during the pandemic.
Right.
We didn't do this. We didn't do this with no pandemic going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because where would our minds would have been if there was no pandemic? Would it be, I'm not saying it would be any less effective, but
Mm-hmm.
we did it during the pandemic. So I'm gonna capitalize on the fact that we developed a show during a pandemic where
Right.
we're able to uplift and edify individuals during a global pandemic.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right now, I call it a U.S. pandemic because a lot of these other countries is doing fine,
Mm.
but that's neither here nor there.
Oop.
But so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like during this pandemic, I'm able to capitalize on that. So when we are post pandemic, I
Mm-hmm.
can be like, ooh, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was in that mess, even though I was in that turmoil,
Right.
I was able to make a friend with Brandon,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to uplift. We were able to uplift and edify everyone else.
Amen.
I see Mr. Hosso's watching. Hey,
Hey.
but yeah,
Yep.
that's how.
Yeah. And I think so kind of when I think about happiness, I feel this is just kind of how my mind works. Happiness is like a starting point. But remember, like, so last week, if y'all did not watch last week's show about empathy, the power of empathy, please go and watch it. I feel like that was probably one of the best shows that we ever did because the topic is just so vital to right now. Maybe that's it. But remember, there was cognitive empathy, emotional empathy, but where you're really trying to get to is compassionate empathy. So when I think about
Mm-hmm.
happiness, I feel like happiness is fleeting. I feel like we have to pursue happiness because happiness is always running away. Like happiness gets old, happiness gets stale. So it's perfect that we talk about happiness. And also, when we talk about happiness, we talk about the power of joy Because I feel like joy, if you can learn how to be happy, then you can learn how to have joy. And once you have conditioned yourself to have joy, then now joy bleeds over into a lifestyle, and other people are affected by the joy that you possess. And it's also, the scriptures say so much about joy. And I found, a good article. So I'm gonna read a little bit. And please, like, share,
Come on,
comment,
article.
and comment with your feedback on this article. It's called "The Power of Joy" by Thomas Hopper, and he says, "What is joy? In our process of maturing, we often think that joy is the result of happy circumstances, and it may be. I've seen a little rabbit run across the sidewalk into the grass, and I had a feeling of joy. How's it going, Pierre? We find in our happiness or in our happy experiences and in our relationships with our loved ones. But joy is deeper. It's a deeper thing than just the result of happy circumstances. If it were only such a result, there would be times, many times, when we could not have joy. And in truth, joy is always ours. So once again, I feel like happiness and joy, they're both a mind state. And I like to think of it like this. Think of it like conditioning. If you want to have muscles and you want to look a certain way, if you want to, splatty down, then you have to condition. There's conditioning, right? There's that first phase of conditioning where you're getting set up, and then there's the maintaining phase, that it switches later. So happiness is like the conditioning, and if you can get to the happiness, then you can understand that you have access to joy. And also another thing too, joy helps you look better. Joy helps you have better relationships. Most of the people I kind of, before I got married, I kind of looked around, and I would ask people questions about marriage. And one thing that I noticed, that people were together for the longest time. You know what kept them together? Kindness. It wasn't being faithful. It wasn't anything else but kindness. People who've been married 50 years, 30 years, 25 years, 10 years. That was, I mean, I wasn't even married at the time, but they all told me that kindness was the common theme. And there were some other things, but I noticed that was in common with all of them. So I'm gonna read a little bit more. A more mature view of joy is that it is a byproduct of serving others.
Hmm. Serving others, huh?
And sharing good. Yes, serving
Hmm.
others and sharing good, like
Hmm.
which ties into happiness. So if you can have happiness, then you can have joy, right? Because that was
Well,
an
you said serving others, honey, which
hmm
you already know what I talked about
right.
with my EOA
Yeah,
counterpart who said I'm not serving anybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
It may be the sense of a job well and honestly done, but joy is even more than this. It's not a result of anything, of good deeds, of doing work well, or anything else. Joy is not a result, it is a cause. It can happen to us.
You better, okay,
See,
article. Come on, article.
that's why I was like, let me take this one because this is really good. Like it made me ponder some things.
Hey, Rodrigo.
Hey, Rodrigo, it can happen to us, but we can also make it happen and make other things happen because of it. Joy is a spiritual principle that we can lay hold of and use. It is a principle that we can use all the time, whether outer conditions are as favorable as we would like them to be or not. See, this is what maybe that's why I was associating, happiness with a choice, because your circumstances don't have to match it in order for you to have it. You just might have to, when your circumstances don't match it, you may have to work a little harder to have joy, but you still have it.
Hmm. Montgomery said he need that book.
Um,
Hey, Tiffany Lane. Hey,
I
girl.
will put this in the comment section a little bit after the show. Uh,
And I'll put my book that I said to. I don't know if y'all want the book, my book. I mean, even though Brandon book is everything right now, but I can put the book
yeah,
that I
definitely.
the psychologist has as well, so you
hmm
all can look it up too.
Yeah. Hey, Stephanie, my sister's in the room. Um,
Hey.
so where was I? Talking about joy. And if they are not what we wish, our circumstances, if our circumstances are not what we wish, we can do more than put up with them, we can make them improve by using the principle of spiritual joy. Joy is a good influence in any situation, and there are many ways we can express joy with positive thoughts, pleasant words, a smile. Have you ever been angry about something and you tried to do this? Like, how did it felt stupid at first, but if you just do this,
Oh, you talking about smiling if I'm like annoyed,
yes,
where I'm just like, oh,
uh-huh, yeah. But hold on though. But hold it,
I have done that
but
though. I've
hold
done that
it.
to keep my bearings.
Yeah,
I've done that to keep my
but
bearings
I'm
in the
saying
military.
also hold it long enough to where your countenance changes. Like to where it goes from that you was throwing shade, right? Not the throwing shade smile, but to hold it long enough to where you feel different. Like you can't stand like this,
Oh, I've done that
you know?
too.
You can't stand like this and like not
I can't stay like this and not be, yeah, I can't be smiling fake, like,
right,
because I'm not fake. So if I'm
right.
smiling, then the smile becomes real
Yeah.
because I'm actually smiling. So I got you.
Because
Yeah.
if you do it like you just did, that was like a 2 second smile, like nothing's gonna happen in that moment. But try smiling until something happens, till your cheeks start to hurt. Then you be like, okay, I'm by that time I'm happy now. Okay, baby, you ain't gotta smile that long. But
I was like,
a good
no.
minute or so,
Yeah.
a good minute or
Yeah.
so of
Yeah. Yeah.
smiling, like it will change your whole, countenance and be able to cause you to have joy. And something that I do, if I'm ever feeling down, I revert back to the moments where I was edified, where somebody edified me. If I ever feel down about a particular thing, because usually if I'm feeling down about something, it's about a particular thing.
Montg- Montgomery said, "You want to lay some hands without the oil." Oop, I know what that means.
So yeah,
I know what that means, honey.
um,
You got more to
I
read?
do. So as Nehemiah said, the joy of the Lord is your strength in Nehemiah 8:10. Because joy in our inward being irresistibly calls forth joy in the outer world. It's contagious. The whole smiling thing. And so joy, it's important to understand
It
that
is.
joy comes from within. But when I was talking about the smile or the laughing, just force yourself to laugh or force yourself to smile, it will cause something on the inside to change. Now, for the spiritual people, you can encourage yourself with some scripture or some, worship music, or think about how far you've come, or think about your latest accomplishment. Andre, congratulations on your master's degree. Think about things that,
Thank you.
yeah, think about things that make you happy, because we cannot wait for circumstances to bring us joy. We must make our own joy and let it act upon circumstances. One of the paradoxes of truth is that a happy heart draws itself all that it needs for happiness. And we can keep our hearts happy by drawing on the wellspring of joy that is a part of our spiritual nature. We all have it. We all have it, and we've all experienced joy at some point in our lives, even if you got to go all the way back to childhood. That's okay. Um,
And can I add
mm-hmm.
something real
Go
quick,
ahead.
Brandon?
Mm-hmm.
So the happiness within yourself, yes,
Mm-hmm.
that is good to say because it's kind of like you're inviting it into you. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're smiling, you're inviting the happiness in. But
Mm-hmm.
what I did notice, I'm kind of going to a situational thing of when I taught EO leaders course. I think I don't think I gave you too many details as far as my experience with that.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I got, because I won't talk about the other stuff that they said, but when I was teaching EO leaders course
Mm-hmm.
to the students,
Mm-hmm.
one person came to me and was like, "Man, Brooks, like you came in there, we missed you teaching because you had a smile on. You made me feel good about being in the class
Mm-hmm.
because your energy was so good." So it's so important that the energy that you bring, it can make somebody else's day too. So not only did it make me feel good that I was cheesing and smiling and
Mm-hmm.
doing all that, but my smile was poured out to someone else when they had a bad day. They told me
Right.
that they just had a terrible, terrible argument with their wife, but
Mm.
now they're in a good mood and they are going to apologize to their spouse because
Mm-hmm.
they acted like a fool.
Mm.
Due to me just smiling, saying, "Good morning, everybody. I'm Sergeant Brooks. Here I am to give you a class on
Right.
conflict management."
Mm-hmm.
I feel good inside because
Right.
Andre over here just and it made me
Mm-hmm.
feel good because now I was able to pour my what I'm feeling into someone else. So I just wanted
Yes.
to say that. Hey, Brandon.
Yep. Yeah, what's up, Brandy? That's thank you for that example. But how do we cultivate joy in the heart? More joy in our lives. Use, use is the law of increase. If we want more joy, we must use joy.
Happiness
Like
and
you
joy.
just,
So
hmm So we must lay hold on joy and let it well up from within us through thought, word, and action. Just in my head, it didn't sound like it made sense. Use is the law of increase, but now I hear it now.
yeah,
But
they should
yeah,
have put it in parentheses for you so you could
hmm
understand it.
it wasn't in italics.
Um,
Sorry,
it wasn't. It wasn't in
hooked
italics.
on phonics. It
Um,
was in italics. Sorry.
it
I
was
just
italicized.
I'm just so
Oh.
excited, you know. But yeah, so it like joy is a well and you can go and draw on it and the thing about a well is other people can also come and draw on your well of joy. You know what I'm saying? So you
Yes.
got to keep it full because happiness gets stale, right? And happiness is fleeting when it's about that jacket. 'Cause when that jacket start missing a button, it ain't your favorite jacket no more. You got 10 other ones. You know what I'm saying? You gifted that
Yeah.
jacket to somebody else, so you no longer have that. But if you have joy, then it's the well, and it comes up from the inside of you. And I think it's imperative that we have joy now, you know? So first we must
Well,
realize,
and that's the part. That's why I'm glad you said that. Or I'm glad that
mm-hmm,
you tied joy to my pursuit of happiness because
mm-hmm,
happiness can get stale. You're happy.
mm-hmm,
Ooh. I'm stale just came to me, but
stale, yeah,
happiness can
mm-hmm,
be stale. It
mm-hmm,
can. You being happy, but there's no joy to supplement it.
mm-hmm,
It
exactly.
can be dry. And then you
It
can be
can.
stagnant in your happiness, and then your
Mm-hmm,
happiness can decrease or be stagnant, and you're not seeing an elevation.
mm-hmm,
Um,
definitely.
yeah.
How I keep my well full of joy is gratefulness. Like I wake up grateful for the life I'm living. I
Great
wake up,
is your. Oh no, my bad. I was about
right?
to sing a grateful song.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Great is his faithfulness. Yeah, like it is a spiritual thing. Like I wake up with worship on my mind. I wake up grateful for the things that I have and I don't take them for granted. And I think also great I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this. I think if you've had a hard life, or if you fought battles, joy should be easy for you. And maybe not easy to create per se, but easy to realize. Maybe you can't create joy, but you can realize it
It's not for
through
some people
through
though.
gratefulness. Because if you've had a tough life, and maybe that's the spiritual aspect again, because I know that he's gonna see me
That's
through.
what I was gonna say, Brandon. Because some people don't feel that way, and,
Mm-hmm.
and and once again, I don't want to put this individual on blast.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'll say is that the same individual that's made the statement earlier I said about
Mm-hmm.
I don't give to folks because they be abusing and all that good stuff. That same person said that they have come from a poverty-stricken home, but they well not poverty-stricken, but they had troubled times
Mm-hmm.
and they had to fight for the money that they made. So they said, well, that's the money I fought for, so I'm not giving it.
Mm-hmm. And
And
that's why they ain't got no
there's a
joy.
undertone. Uh, Right. But that's why they
Yeah.
have an undertone
Mm-hmm.
of that ooh, I don't want to say hatred is a too strong of a
Bitter.
word.
Bitterness.
Bitter. There we go, bitter. There's a bitterness in there because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
dang, so you allowed your experience to make you bitter
Mm-hmm.
instead of give you joy for the things that you worked hard. Like it typically your typical human being is gonna get joy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they were in a bad place
Mm-hmm.
and now they've elevated. So naturally folks would elevate and be like, oh, I got so much joy in my heart because I came from nothing and
Mm-hmm.
now I'm something.
Mm-hmm.
And but at the end of the day, there's some individuals
Mm-hmm.
that no, they become bitter and they become selfish and they don't think about the next person. They're only thinking
Mm-hmm.
about what they're gonna gain.
Yeah.
But where's the joy in that?
Yep.
Because they felt like the odd person in the room when everybody else was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, girl, well, I'm giving because
Mm-hmm.
it's in my heart to give, so I'm giving.
Yeah.
You can keep your coin. I'm giving my coin
Yeah.
if I can afford to.
Right.
So
And I think giving is it I mean it's probably the most one of the most fulfilling things that we could do. And if anything, that person should understand what it means to give because I don't know. Unless nobody ever gave this person anything, which I highly doubt. Even I don't know this person, but unless nobody ever gave them anything, like they've probably witnessed or seen somebody give somebody something and been able to um, experience it through somebody else. Hey, Brandon, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I
Another Brandon?
another Brandon, yeah. But you know what? Like that, what's next in this article really hits home, and some people might not.
Oh,
Some
let you
some
read.
people might not be able to handle this, but you know me, I got to go straight in and hold no punches. So first, we must realize
Please.
that Yahuwah Elohim, that's what I call him, known or also known as God, is the source of our
Repeat
joy.
that again because you paused a little bit.
Okay,
Read it again. You paused.
first we must realize that Yahuwah Elohim, or also known as God, is the source of our joy. Some people can't ride with that. I'm sorry. But he's the only, it's the only source. Like I got joy because I know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter what, from the pandemic, whatever you want to call it, like I feel like I know what's going to happen. I feel like I know the future. And how could I not have joy when I can be prepared now? That's sort of what we're talking about in this show. This is a
Mhm.
prophetic show if y'all didn't know, because we're talking about how you can move forward and be prepared for the future through happiness and the power of joy. So happiness is a just like the empathy, uh, cognitive, emotional, but where you're trying to get to is compassion and empathy. Happiness can get you to joy, but keep going through the process. You know what I'm saying? Identify what makes you happy. Figure out who you are. Figure out what you want to represent. Figure out your purpose. That's what's going to make you happy. And then when you start to make the steps that are necessary to make your purpose happen, to keep yourself happy, that's when you experience joy. You know what I'm saying? That's when you keep your well overflow. And the best way, I mean, clearly, this is what I believe as well, that Yahuwah is the source of joy. Um, People and things and situations are wonderful when all is well, but since they may change, we must not place our spiritual dependence on them. Your circumstances could change, you know? We don't know. And
Mhm.
isn't that's like the serenity prayer. We don't know what's going to happen. Our loved ones could experience death. You know, like somebody could in our family could get the COVID or whatever, and we should pray that they be healed. But we can't control things outside of ourselves, but we can control our temple. You know, so we must depend on the source which cannot change, and from which all good flows. That's a doxology. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Second, we must be poised and centered in Yahusha, in the mind of Yahusha or in the mind of Christ to use the power of joy. If we have his mind, so one of the most powerful things we can pray is what Yahusha prayed when he said, nevertheless, not my will. So asked for what he wanted, right? Father, if there be another way, let this cup pass from me when it came to being hung on a tree or hung on a cross, you know. Um, he said, if there be another way, let this cup pass from me. But then he said, nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. That's the most liberating prayer that we can pray because we can't see the future, but he can, and he can show us it. And if we say, you know, Lord, I want this promotion. God, I want this job, but nevertheless, your will be done. What we're doing is we're surrendering ourselves just as Christ did to go through the process because look at what we have access to now because Christ did what he did. We have access to the well of joy. Um, because what's joy's cousin is peace, right? And shalom means perfect peace, lacking nothing. If you have joy, then you are in a perpetual state of peace, right? You have to be
Mhm.
because what's up, Marquez? Another E.
Montgomery says our temple and temper. Hello, somebody.
See, yeah,
Mhm.
we take care of it, and
You said Marquez.
yeah, Marquez is
You
on
said
here
Marquez.
from school.
Oh, Marquez. I
Yeah.
remember him.
Mm-hmm. So when we realize that we are always one with God, we work with the joy and ease of the power of God within us. Even when our attention is on the work at hand, we can learn to go through every day with the feeling of God's presence, with the knowledge of God's love, power, and joy flowing through us. Third thing, being centered in Christ. In the mind of Christ, we can speak the word and do that which is needed to bring forth joy. Remember, but suppose we cannot feel any joy in our being. Are there ways we can make it spring up? And this is what I talked about earlier, like making a choice of love, making a choice of happiness, and then moving on from there. Once you say, I want to be
Mm-hmm.
happy, I'm tired of feeling like this. Once you come to the end of yourself, that's when you can surrender, right? Surrender all, you know, John Legend, all of you, surrender it all.
Right.
Then,
All of it.
you can then move forward from that place. There are material ways such as cheering ourselves up with bright clothes, a bouquet of flowers, a good dinner, or some other pleasant experience. You know, try not to have joy. You do that for a minute and see if nothing changes. We should also, however, use the spiritual ways of cultivating joy. We can stop turning our attention so far inward on our own personal universe and its problems. Get on the phone, call somebody, you know, ask them how they're
Mm-hmm.
doing, be concerned about somebody else. We can turn outward instead to consider others and what we can do for them. Giving, what we can bring, when we can bring joy to others, we always find joy ourselves. Tell your friend, watch
Mm-hmm.
this episode. Another way we can increase in our hearts is by counting our blessings and giving thanks for them, being grateful. We do not need a great stimulus to feel the joy of giving thanks. It don't cost you nothing. If we appreciate the smallest blessing that comes to us or that has always been with us and take nothing for granted, we find that we are living in a constant state of joy. This is the summation here. There are three chief things to remember about joy if we want its power to live by. It is the cause, not the effect, of good in our lives. It's the cause, not the effect of good in our lives. It increases for us through use because when we speak, think, and act with joy, there is no room for anything else in our lives. We can cultivate joy with material helps and by serving others, turning our attention outward rather than inward, and giving sincere thanks to God for all of our blessings. There it is. And I think that for me, that's what I do. That's what my religion is. My religion is inward, right? Not outward. Not like you a sinner or you this or condemnation, right? But inward. What am I doing and how can I affect change? And think about what our world would be like, what America would be like. It would be easier. Think about how people are fighting change. If you've listened to Vibelytical show at all, during the pandemic, we've talked about a lot of current events, and we slowly have shifted from current events to more inward things, have we not? And thank you, Andre, because Andre chooses the topics. So shout out to Andre for that. And then I kind of
Thank
just like piggyback off the topics, and we're in sync that way, and it works out great. And so it's interesting. We started talking about current events, and then we started talking about how essentially how we respond to these current events. And the more
Mm-hmm.
I see people, it's hard for people, unless they're sociopaths. But I think most people are not sociopaths. So it is
No.
hard for people to lack empathy. So they will use anger, fear, and whatever else they can in order to not show empathy. And we see it on our social medias. Andre, we talked about it. You know, we see people all the time who are trying to be angry about a particular topic. One of the things I brought up on the empathy show was fragmented empathy. And do you know how many I used that about 3 or 4 times um, this week? And one of my the command sergeant major was like, "That's brilliant." The whole fragmented empathy, right? Like they're saying,
Oh, you shared
"I
that.
did, yes." Because
Good.
yeah,
Oh, Montgomery says it's not enough love, and kudos, Andre. Oh, thank you,
yeah.
Montgomery.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Yes. And so fragmented
Mm-hmm.
empathy, like, how can you have joy if your empathy is fragmented? Because what if, think about this, what if you have fragmented empathy, but you work with the people that your empathy is fragmented to? How are you gonna have joy? That's not gonna work when you're working for 8 to 8 hours plus or whatever. And because think
Mm-hmm.
about it, like right now, what we're seeing is there's people who have empathy, there's people who have compassionate empathy, they're protesting and all that, and then there's people who have fragmented empathy, and some of them are our politicians who are saying that don't exist. Systemic and institutional racism doesn't exist. So think about the energy.
Mr. Barr.
Yeah, think about the energy they're having to put out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
Yeah.
mean to say his
Hey, it's
name.
all good. It's all good.
I was being shady.
No,
I was being
it's
shady.
good. Yeah, there's
Hmm.
people, and Larry Kudlow, since we're gonna drop names, one of the president's top economic advisors. So now we're equal. We both drop names. But it's interesting to me that they have to go out of their way. So think about it. If we're pulling on the well of joy and empathy and peace and love, they're pulling on another well.
Oh, that well, I don't want that.
See,
Well,
they got their back hurting. They got them having headaches. They got them feeling sick and just nasty. You ever notice, if you stay angry for too long, it's not good. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good. And your
and your
physical
physical
health.
body.
Yes.
Your body is gonna wear down
Yes.
if you have all that in your brain. Do you know the power of the mind
Mm,
affects the body
mm,
so much? Like you have to be very careful what you take in,
mm-hmm.
and on top of what you take in, you have to be careful what you put out.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah. Because we didn't go
so
to the another piece. If anybody in the comments knows some stuff about it, another piece I was thinking about if we had, um, you know, more time. But I feel like that article really drove home really what I would say about the
it
power
did.
of joy. But the scientific, when you have happiness and joy, how your body releases endorphins and how there's a chemical reaction that happens within you
Hmm.
that causes
Yeah.
things to change. Even like your digestive tract, you know what I'm saying? Like your face, your aura, everyone gives off an energy. And when you're a happy person and when you have a well of joy within you, people are drawn to you. People can come draw from the well, and you don't have to recycle happiness, which then, in my opinion, recycled happiness turns into bitterness, turns into hating on somebody else's success or accomplishments. If I'm still happy,
Hmm.
because think about it, if I have to recycle my happiness, then I'm stuck on something that happened 10 years ago. What you mean? There ain't nothing I can be grateful for that happened last week, or 6 months ago, or a month ago, or I can't be happy for something that happened today, you know? So I just think, it's something that happiness to pursue it is great. And then, the ultimate goal, I would believe, is to get to joy so you can experience that power. And if you're not connected to the Most High, that's one of the best ways to do it. A lot of people hate on the Bible and stuff because what I'm finding is a lot of people don't really know the Bible. And a lot of people have had bad experiences with church. And let me just tell y'all straight up, like I don't go to a building. And at this point, Larry Reed Live said it like this. He said brick and mortar is out of order. Uh, and when I think about, that whole idea, I just think we are his temple. And Acts 7:48 tells us that Yahuwah doesn't live in temples built with man's hands. Like, who could build him a house? Because if what's up, Kyle? Because if he has a house, uh, didn't he breathe the breath of life into you or give your hands the ability to even make that house? How can you make him a house? So, you know, I think one of the best ways to connect to happiness and joy, and the scripture even talks about unspeakable joy, and there's so many verses that talk about joy. Just do a quick Google search and
Kyle says, "Boy, you got money for AirPods."
see,
He talking about me though. I
I
wouldn't want
know,
AirPods.
I know you got
I
AirPods.
mean,
Joy.
I mean,
That's joy.
I,
He got joy. He got
I don't even
happiness.
know what to say to that. I mean,
He stopped my whole train. He stopped
well,
my whole train of
I
thought. That's
will
funny.
right, but no, I was gonna say to Kyle here
Hmm.
that I was gifted these AirPods. I actually didn't buy these. I'm defending myself, but I mean, I would have bought them if I
Hmm.
I would have bought them if I didn't have AirPods, but no, my best friend Georgie bought these for me.
Thank you,
So,
Georgie, so we could be on
but
here. Yeah.
shout out to Georgie,
Hmm.
yes, for buying me these AirPods. But yes, Kyle, I see what you're saying.
Hmm.
I have coins because I got AirPods on.
Yeah. And so that kind of ties into let's reverse that real quick, on the idea that it's not
He talking to you though. He talking to you that Brandon, you got joy for happiness and AirPods with them cars.
yeah,
I don't know what that means.
but look,
What does that mean?
because he just Kyle is funny. Kyle is so funny. He's in Louisville. He knows Curtis. It's such a small world. That's how I know Kyle.
So Kyle probably knows who I
He probably
am. He
knows.
probably has seen me before because I know Curtis.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I think I
Tyler.
may have met Kyle. I may have met Kyle.
Yes.
Did I meet you, Kyle, in Colorado? I don't may have met because I'm looking at him.
Hmm.
I think I might have met Kyle years ago.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Kyle, like you kind of Kyle Paul, you gotta say it for a name, like Paul Wall.
Oh, Kyle
Kyle
Paul.
Paul,
Oh,
Paul Wall.
Kyle.
I'm kidding. But when I think about things, so he's kind of late, but we were talking about um, joy and happiness and how basically your circumstances don't bring you joy and how you have to decide to be happy and decide to possess joy. And your circumstances or your bank account or your life or your relationships might not always match what you would consider happiness or joy, but to just make the choice to be happy. And then, even if you got to write it down, I'm happy. And then write down the reasons why you're happy in order to stay there. Because, we're just trying to uplift and edify, people during the pandemic when a lot of people are missing things. They're missing the old that they used to have. And I know, Andre, that this pandemic ain't gonna be here forever. But it might be a good couple more years. Did Usher did,
Oh no no no.
did
Yeah.
Usher give us a sign when he said September 21?
It's a sign, honey. June, July, we're gonna be post pandemic. So, cause people gonna be back at the concert September 21, jamming to Usher. I feel like that's a sign that yeah, there may be a vaccine. That's a whole nother. That's a whole. I don't want to dig too deep in
Right.
that topic, but I will say this though. I do want to say this. Kyle says money doesn't buy but happiness, honey. Speak on that, baby.
Mm-hmm. Sure don't.
So, yeah, he said buy. Money doesn't buy happiness.
Mm-hmm.
I need to speak on that. Yes. So, so I spoke to a couple of other people about the whole like post pandemic. Like, a lot of people are like weary about this whole vaccine because they're like having a vaccine next year is too soon. But a part of me is saying that there actually may be a vaccine next year. You have to think we're in modernized times.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not back in the 80s and 90s where it took years and years and years and years to come with the vaccine. There actually may be a legit vaccine by June, July.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he said, "Where's my long haul stimulus?"
Right,
Um,
right.
right. But yeah, there may be a vaccine. It's just gonna be up to people if they want to take it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, in the military, we're mandated to take it. If we don't, we're kicked out the military, Brandon. So, yeah,
You
for
go
us
first, Andre.
military
You
folks.
go first.
I mean, I will go first for the team.
I,
Yes.
I'm gonna
For
know
the
it.
Vibelytical show, I'll go first. I'll go first, and I'll be praying to the Lord,
Yes.
and I'm going to pray that I am under His power and under His
Mm.
grace and under His care
Amen.
during this
Yes.
vaccine. So, Kyle said, "No, ma'am. Trump can keep that
Hmm.
vaccine." well. Okay. I'll say this: he may not be the president when this vaccine's released,
Mm.
but anyway. But yeah. So we'll be mandated to take the vaccine.
Mm. Yeah.
So.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna be optimistic about the vaccine. So I'm only speaking for self.
Hmm.
I'll be optimistic
Mm.
about the vaccine and say there could be one.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna be a little bit nervous about taking it
Yeah.
because yeah.
Yeah. The ability to do the human trials and everyone's body reacts differently, and I think people should be more educated on things. I mean, and really
She said COVID won't be a topic after.
see,
I guess after the vaccine, it
I
won't be a
guess I
topic.
guess
Yeah.
not. But vaccines are, everyone's body reacts different. We all got the same organs, but our body and our blood types, and that's why there's these other things. So everyone's body reacts different. And, so if you don't pray, you probably should pray. Just saying.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's the thing where it's like there's like we've had before that there's people that are agnostic or atheists that don't believe in a higher power or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So it's like ugh, you tell people to pray, but they'll be like, well, I ain't praying.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's that too. I guess I'll say to those people because I don't want to leave them out. It's
Mm-hmm.
just if you don't pray, just be optimistic. I guess that's
Just
gonna work
if
for
you
you when
don't
you don't
pray,
get sick.
start today.
Okay, Ryan.
Right?
Okay, Ryan. Okay. Anthony Glenn said no thanks.
Yeah.
I think he's saying no thanks to the vaccine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been
Yeah, I don't
what's on
know.
y'all's mind this week? Like, how's your week going?
Yes, talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
How has your weekend been? The weather has been nice for me in
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky. But how have you all been for the ones that are watching?
Yeah.
Like, we want to hear from you all.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Brandon and covered our topics and
Yeah.
stuff, and we want to talk to you all for a little bit because it's still pretty good on time. It's only 8:40,
I think you tricked
so
me, Andre. You was like, if you got some, because if I have notes, I just I just say what I say, and I'm not long-winded.
right. Because I be like, because like I told you on the phone
Mm-hmm.
earlier, I'm reading my note. Like
Yeah.
I have 3 pages of notes.
Yeah.
So I want to read the notes and reflect on my notes as I'm talking about it because
Mm-hmm.
the pursuit of happiness was heavy on my heart
Mm-hmm.
to talk about. And I had another topic that I may discuss next week or I may shelve it for another week. But I had 2 topics that the pursuit of happiness is what I talked about today, but there was another one that I was like, ooh, I want to talk about it. But happiness was just weighing heavier.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, Anthony says we finally have clear and sunny skies in Oakland, California. Okay, shout out to
Yeah.
California,
That's great.
Anthony. All
Yep.
right. How is COVID out there for y'all in California? Because California was a hot spot too. So, like, I feel like hot spots so I feel like okay, California was a hot spot, or maybe still be. Oh, the fires were a mess. Ooh, I'm sure. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
my heart goes out to the families that had homes out there. Because that's one thing I will say about like people that have big houses and on big old acres of land. Like,
Mm.
be careful out there because these
Mm-hmm.
wildfires is not. I mean, they ain't playing. Mother
Mm-hmm.
Nature ain't playing, but you got people doing doing gender reveals, burning up stuff too, though.
Right.
So that's a whole nother
I'm just
topic.
like, wow.
Anthony says depends on where you are. Okay, so where you are in California with the COVID, okay? Because I know
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's still a hot spot. I got family in Georgia. I'm like, ugh, I
Right.
don't know if I'm seeing y'all no time soon.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah. Anthony said,
So we're still shut down, but stuff is slowly opening up.
mm-hmm.
Wow, to be in September and things are slowly opening up. Like in
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, things have opened up for the most part. Maybe I'm gonna say a good 60% of businesses are open,
Mm-hmm.
but of course the clubs are still closed. The stadiums for football is closed, of course. So like the big
Mm-hmm.
events where they're packed are closed. I don't go to bars or clubs.
Mm-hmm.
But I do go to restaurants, which I'm still nervous about that. But I'm like, listen, I'll have my mask on
Yeah.
when I walk through the restaurant, but
Yeah.
when I sit down, I take it off. But as soon as
Mm-hmm.
even before I get up, honey, the mask is going on while I'm seated, and then I get up and walk my behind out
Mm-hmm.
when I go to the restaurants with friends. So, um,
Yeah.
I mean, is anybody else on besides Anthony? How's everything with you all? How was your weekend? I mean,
Don't make us
I
call y'all
know
out.
for
I'm
me.
kidding. We start calling out names. How you doing? I'm kidding.
Listen, right. A part of me kind of feels like Anthony says masks are a way of life here.
Mm.
I agree. That's good. I feel like so. This is just something that I forgot to tell you this, Brandon. But I part of me feels like when people come on, I feel like it should still show when they on and when they come off, so we can
Mm,
know who's watching.
uh-huh.
Because like if I know who's watching still, so if it says 8 people,
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, Rosie, you looking? What you gotta say?
Right.
Like I want to call people out, but it only shows the number.
Hmm.
It only shows the number of people, so
Well,
it
on
doesn't
mine it
show.
shows the pictures. Like I could see Anthony, Apostle, and then somebody else, but I don't know the profile picture. So yeah,
Oh, so you can actually see the photos
yeah,
of the folks that are
it's just a
looking.
small circle at the top right corner of mine.
Okay, so
And
being
then
that I'm a
Rosie, see,
guest,
that's so funny. You said Rosie is.
Rosie. Yeah, I know Rosie. Rosie
Uh-huh.
over here listening but ain't talking, so that's why I say Rosie.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I wish I was able because I'm a guest on your live, so
Hmm.
maybe that's probably why I don't see who's on actually. I see Jerry says we are just coming out of lockdown here in Kuwait. Ooh,
Mm,
ooh, hey, oh my goodness.
mm,
So I guess certain countries are still kind of not doing too well, but
hmm,
I mean, I heard New Zealand is back to normal essentially. Australia's doing
hmm.
good. I mean,
But
China,
these places shut
Korea.
all the way down though. It's interesting that the countries that seem to be doing the best are ones that shut all the way down. I mean, clank clank, and
They clink
New
clink.
Zealand did.
Korea clink clink. China clink clink. Japan clink clink. They all back to normal. They all out there having living their
Hmm.
lives. They clubbing out there. There's people
I
clubbing
saw
and
that
turning up
like it didn't even exist.
like it didn't even exist
Yeah.
because they actually follow whatever governmental
Hmm.
regulations they had
Yeah.
for that country.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. I mean, I'm not gonna hate
Hmm.
on them. It's just that United States is a little bit ate up with that, but
Yeah. I'm like, why did we clank clank
yeah.
all the way down? Give us our checks. Pay us what you owe us. No, I'm kidding. But like even Canada when they had shut down, they now with this evictions, people being evicted and stuff. So y'all better have some joy. That's one there. There you go. You can have joy because hopefully you're not a person who's being convicted. Not sorry, not convicted, evicted. You know. You know?
Ooh,
Yeah, because
yeah.
people are being
Hmm.
convicted from their homes and stuff. And
You keep saying convicted, evicted from their
okay,
homes.
sorry. Y'all know what I meant. So you don't be convicted within yourself to not have
There you
joy.
go. Boom.
Yeah.
Jerry says true. They shut down and locked down whole cities. I mean, they put gates and police around the whole cities for 5 months. Oh my
Dang.
gosh. Kuwait was out there showing out. Okay.
Hmm.
Wow. I was stationed in Kuwait, dang, almost 10 years ago. Jesus.
Mm.
I was in Kuwait, from 11 to 12, in Camp Arab John. I was stationed there in the signal unit.
Mm.
That's where I met Everett. Everett ain't on tonight. My friend Everett.
Mm.
Like, where's Everett? Everett ain't on tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kuwait was where it was at. I went shopping in Kuwait.
What's interesting too is I wonder if the way people responded to COVID-19 um differed
Ooh, excuse me.
because the steps that the government took. I mean, if people in the government saying it ain't a big deal and we want to open everything back up and we want to send your kids back to school and all that, then maybe that played into people not even wanting to wear a mask or acting like it doesn't even exist. Oh, it's only 6%. Like maybe because of all of that happened, you know, that was people's
Yeah,
response.
that's a good point. And also, did I tell you about me walking into the auto parts store and buying some air? I didn't. Oh, that wasn't you. That was somebody else. Well, I'll tell all you all that are watching and Brandon then. So and I'll send you the picture later, Brandon,
Okay.
after we get off because I took a picture.
Hmm.
So I went into the auto parts store to buy car freshener. So you know those little trees you get for your car to smell good for your
Hmm.
car. So I was like, I need some more trees for my car. So I have this specific scent. Look up blackberry clove. It's on point.
Hmm.
But anyway, I go in there to buy it, and I don't see anybody, like no worker, no employee
Hmm.
inside the store. Like I know they're there, but they're not at the front counter.
Hmm.
So I purchased my little trees and I'm in line and I'm behind somebody else with their mask on. And the man comes out with no mask on at all. Just comes up, the employee just no mask. So I was like, now, and for me, I was tripping more so because not only did he not have a mask, but you know how some people wear their mask down here, it still be visible, but it's like down here.
Mm-hmm.
It's down. It's not on their face. He had no mask on. He was like, "Ain't no pandemic going on. I ain't wearing no mask. F a mask." Okay, so I was like, "Do I purchase my trees or do I just go to another auto parts store because he ain't got no mask?"
Mm.
So I said, "Well, I'm going to be very courteous with this individual and ask him why he don't have his mask." But lo and behold, the manager of the store walks in, no mask.
Mm.
So there's the employees are not wearing a mask,
Mm.
and me and the customers are wearing our masks. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. So the man didn't say nothing. The man in front of me bought his stuff, got out of Dodge. And then Jennifer, oh hey Jennifer, I went to high school with her.
Hey,
She said that
Jennifer.
BlackBerry is really the best. Um, um, so I went up and I said, "Hi, how are you?" Because I was, I wanted to speak.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I'm okay." He was bitter. I don't know what's wrong. I'm good. Oh, okay, all right. I was like, "So you don't own a mask?" So I don't. I said, "Oh." So he's like, "It's just me and my manager here that work here." I said, "I understand that, but there's multiple customers coming in here
Mm-hmm.
to purchase stuff." He was like, "Well, they have on their masks, so that means you don't." I said, "Okay, all right. Let me just go ahead and just go ahead and ring up my stuff because I can't do it." And I got out of that store so quick. I was like, I can't. So
Mm.
you bitter, you anti-mask, and you have an attitude with me that I'm asking about your manager. It's just me and my manager. Well, what about all these freaking customers, dummy? But okay.
Mm-hmm. No empathy. Not even for their
Anthony
own
says no
selves.
mask, no service. No mask, no service. Anthony, right? No here, no mask, no service. But the actual employees had on no mask. I had mine on.
Mm.
So you just said I'm just gonna pass the COVID. If I'm asymptomatic, I'm just gonna pass the COVID. Then
Mm.
that's what you're doing. So yeah, I have a barrier on for me. You ain't giving me the COVID. I bind the devil. You ain't giving me the COVID, but you ain't got one on.
Amen.
You ain't got one on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, I just asked, and I asked in a nice way, so he couldn't really like catch an attitude with me. But I was like, "Oh, so you ain't got no mask?" Like,
Mm-hmm.
cause I want to be like, "Can you? I mean, I can give you a mask. I got extras in the car." Anthony said, "I'm brave." Yes, I'm in your establishment asking about your mask, but I was very polite. Okay, Anthony, I was polite
Mm-hmm.
with him, and I was just like, "Yeah." Rosie says, "See right there. Well, that's why we can't get back to normal because of people like that."
Mm.
Yes, Rosie, we can't.
Mm.
We can't. I totally agree. Montgomery says it used to be you, no buy, you go. Yeah, I mean, it's so now it's like I didn't think I guess I didn't expect to see employees not wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
I expected customers to not wear a mask if they're just running into the store, which is also wrong too because I went to the store yesterday to get groceries and three people had no mask on.
Mm.
Just walking around the store.
Mm.
And I'm like,
What are y'all doing?
"Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you in a whole store with no mask?" Okay.
I
And then I've seen some walk in the store with their mask on. As soon as they pass by the employees, whoops, take it off.
Dang, it's crazy. And then people talk,
Blows my
and then
mind.
people talking about they can't breathe with the mask on. Well, get you a different one. I mean,
Get you a different
some
mask
kind of
then, sweetie.
something that will let air flow. Just
They got
just
filtered ones, right? Don't they have the
yeah.
ones with the filters or
Hmm.
something where it's like a little, I
We
don't
can't
know.
wear those on base. The filter one. And it has to be like Or I don't think you can wear the cloth ones either on base. Like it has to be, well, it could be the cloth mask,
It could be black.
well, but not the
Yeah.
neck gaiter. Sorry, to be more specific on base, you can't have the neck gaiter. Like it needs to be an actual
Because
mask.
yeah, that's not doing
No,
much.
that.
A net gator ain't
Mm-mm.
a net gator. That's lazy. You just said I'm just gonna put this gator on. No mask. That's why it's called a mask. It's
Then,
supposed to mask COVID.
then in the gym, I think they relaxed their rules a little bit. Like you could take your mask off if you're doing cardio.
No, my mask on. Even if my mask is sweating, I'm wearing my
Hmm
mask while I'm running. No,
It is
ma'am.
sweated out, and then I can't even breathe no more because it's like, then that's when I know it's time for me to leave the gym when I sweated out my mask.
Yeah, I think so. With the running, but you're inside though. So like I feel like if I need to run, I'm gonna run outside. But then in this day and age, I'm scared as a black man to be running outside,
Mm. And that's talk about that.
and I'll just leave it at that.
See,
So I don't even want to run
I
outside.
don't.
Usually I'd be like, I'm gonna run outside, but I don't even know
Mm,
if I'm safe running
hmm
outside. So I don't know. I'm just
hmm
gonna just be hefty over here, not running, not doing no
Even
Oh, so don't try the croc.
mm,
Try the croc. What is that, Montgomery? What does he mean by croc?
I don't know. My
I don't
my
know. Don't try the croc.
my honey's on. What up, Shay?
Shay. I can't wait to meet him. Oh, I got some unfortunate news, Brandon. I don't think I'll be able to see you
Uh-oh.
um when I come out there. I'm coming to Virginia next month.
Mm-hmm.
You're an hour and a half away
Mm-hmm.
from where I'm gonna be going,
Mm-hmm.
so I may not be able to see you.
Oh, we can make it. Are you gonna be at
I will
Eustis?
try. No, I'm gonna be in Belvoir. I'm 15 minutes away from Belvoir. That's an hour and a half
Belvoir?
drive.
Oh, that ain't that far. I can come over there. I can meet you
I
there.
mean,
I can meet you there.
or okay. I mean, if all else fails, then I'm like, okay, I want to see you. Then we'll make it happen.
Yeah,
But
we
I'm like,
could,
ooh, that's a. Cause I'm
because you're
trying
you're
to.
already coming pretty far, so we can meet. I mean, what's an hour and a half?
Yeah, I'm driving 9 hours. Yeah, I'm driving 9 hours to Virginia,
Yeah,
so I'm not trying to do a 2 hour drive to you. I'm not trying
yeah.
to do that. I mean, I love you, but
Hmm
no.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. Yeah.
I don't think I can do it, Brandon.
Recalculate, Yeah, we could.
That's a lot. That's a lot, Brandon. But yes, I want to see Shay. I really want to
Hmm
meet Shay. Not that I don't want to see you, but I'm trying to meet Shay because I already know you. I'm trying to meet the husbands.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to meet the hubby. But
hmm
yeah, this mask thing. I'm just like
hmm
I just when I saw employees not wearing the mask, like I said earlier, it just makes me just. I'm just like, God, where
hmm
am I safe to go? Like you ain't wearing your mask. Oh, let me tell you what happened on Friday. Ugh. So I went to a Cuban
Friday.
restaurant with my
Let me tell you what happened on
I
Friday.
went on Friday. So I went to a Cuban restaurant with my friend Maria, and let me tell you, I felt so uncomfortable because me and her, of course, sitting down with no mask on, eating.
Mm,
This older gentleman, he could have been in his mid 60s. He gets up, he's smoking a cigar, right? Walking around. I guess you could smoke in there, which is fine, but you need to smoke at your seat.
mm,
But he gets up and just stands behind me and is smoking a cigar.
mm,
Like no mask on, smoking a cigar behind me. So I'm turning around like, I'm about to put my mask on because
hmm
you all behind me. What is going on right now?
Smoking.
So I look at him like, and then he just moves out the way. Like, what are you doing behind me? You ain't got no mask on,
Mm,
sweetie. Like, what are you doing? And you smoking a cigar, walking around the restaurant with no mask? I'm like, I just can't. I feel like the irresponsibility of people and the
hmm
not only irresponsibility, but the lack of care
hmm
and concern for others around
Yeah.
you
What's that called?
gets me livid.
It's not consideration, is it? What's that? Common courtesy. It's a C word. I don't know. Is it
Yeah, common
consideration?
courtesies. That's
Consideration?
consideration. You're not considering me. So you could be having the COVID and you standing right by me smoking with no mask on.
Mm-hmm.
And I got no mask on, I'm trying to eat. We are not 6 feet apart.
Mm-hmm.
You are behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Get your behind away from me. And I gave him the look like, like, what you, like, I didn't even have to say nothing. My nonverbal
Right.
said everything I needed to say. That was all of all me smoking. Like, get away from me. Just know, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a pandemic. Like, people, like, I feel like the only one thing I'm doing that I feel is normal is going to a restaurant where they're open.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything else is pandemic. Everything else, mask on, mask on, mask on, mask on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one thing we are as a country are able to do that makes us feel somewhat normal is I can sit at a table.
Yeah.
Yes, there's 6 feet between my table and the next person where I don't have to have my mask on to eat.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So the one time I can feel like I'm normal, and you want to stand behind me with with smoking a cigar
Mm-hmm.
with no mask.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I want to do, because everything else we got to do, we got to wear a mask to the mall, to the store,
Mm-hmm.
to everything. We have to wear a mask because we're in a building compacted.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh Lord,
Back,
it made me want to just.
back up. Mm. Well, I pray that I'm tired today. Maybe it's the kayak. Oh, I watched the cars. Them things is
Yeah, squeaky clean, honey.
mm-hmm.
So you wash the cars after kayaking?
Before. It
Okay.
really
Well,
wasn't.
that's so all that we're
It really wasn't hot today, but I still was in the sun. It wasn't
you
super
was in the
hot.
sun.
Yeah.
So you know your body's tired because you washing cars and then you use your arms again to kayak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you done. What time is it? We
Nah.
can go. It's 9. We
Mm-hmm.
can go. Yeah, we can go, y'all. You know,
Hope y'all was
because
blessed.
y'all ain't talking. Y'all just probably listening to us. Y'all
We
ain't even
just
saying
rambling
nothing.
too now. Even though it's good rambling, you know.
It's good
Yeah.
rambling, but it's 9, so we can
Mm-hmm.
go. We've been on for an hour and a half ish or whatever. Technical difficulties, but we gonna be better
We
for
will.
next
Yep.
time. Because the devil tried it.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. He didn't
Okay,
want y'all to have this
so
joy or understand how to pursue happiness, but y'all still got both. Amen.
got both, and I was able to see the comments because I was nervous that I was gonna be not seeing
Yes.
comments. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna do what you do. Please like, comment, and share on Vibelytical.
Please. Mm-hmm.
This episode was on the pursuit of happiness and the power of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to us ramble after our nice and in-depth discussion on happiness and joy, but we rambled, which it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we want to thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Brandon, do you have any last words before we go? Is Jim still on? Where's Jim
Uh,
at? He probably left us.
I don't see Jim on. But I just want to say, everyone to have a blessed week and just remember to choose to be happy and look for those moments that you can grasp on to joy. You don't have to wait till something good happens. You can think about something that good that or something that makes you happy that happened and hold on to that and use that to create, better situations this week.
Okay.
Hmm.
And I want to close out on my last little comment that I have because I feel the need to say it again. I feel like my spirit. I need to say this again.
Okay.
Taking time to savor the experiences we have had in the past and whatever experiences are currently available is one way to maximize your happiness during this pandemic.
Mm, mm,
I just felt the need to say that again.
mhm.
So until next time,
Till
y'all,
next
we'll
time.
see you all on a pop up, possibly,
Hmm.
or you'll see us next Sunday.
Thank
One of the two.
you gonna read Anthony's comment before we go?
Yeah. Anthony says, thank you guys. This was very uplifting and filled with great information. That's what we aim to do.
Mm-hmm.
We aim to give you all quality information, information that we've taken the time to look up and research.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Brandon gave me a shout out for coming up with topics, but
Mm-hmm.
I do it because I care,
Mm-hmm.
and I do it because of the fact that it's something that is near and dear to me, and I want to be able to share what I know to you all.
Right.
And Brandon does the same,
Mm-hmm.
where he just shares what's on his heart and in his spirit, and that's that prophet in him, you know. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Hallelujah.
Oh, and Rosie says thank you. Good night. Good night,
Good night,
Rosie.
Rosie.
Me and Rosie and I need to do lunch. She's with me all night.
Okay.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but okay, y'all.
All
Y'all
right.
have a great
See y'all next
night.
time. Good night.
Uh, all right.